This is Cougan Cassius for IFL TV. On the phone all the way from Brooklyn! Got Eddie Hearn. How's Brooklyn?
I'm in Manhattan.
The fight's in Brooklyn, didn't you know?
Do you want to start that again? Or, you did sound a bit silly, and I don't...
Well, I thought...
You've got a t-shirt range as well. I don't want to affect your reputation.
The fight's in Brooklyn. Why are you in Manhattan? What's going on?
It's only 15 minutes, isn't it? I've had a few meetings out here this week, so best to stay here and then heading down to Brooklyn to the Fight Hotel in a little while.
Can I just ask you a question before we start? Do you know, I can't see you getting on a New York subway. How do you... Have you really?
Do you know what is unbelievable? People like tweeting it, it's already HEARN on the Central line today. Wow, can't believe you get to the train. But how do you think I'll get around?
Well, I've seen you on the tube, haven't I? I've called you a tube wanker. I've seen you on the tube. But down there it's a bit different, isn't it? You don't really... I
was on a tube with Adam Smith yesterday. We looked like two tourists, like not having a clue where we were going. But it was much better to get around here rather than get in a cab for about 3 hours. So.
Yeah. Saw the weigh-in yesterday. What was going on the stage? Because like, what were they saying to one another?
He was like, he kept sort of backing into him and pushing him out of the way, and Brian just was doing the same. So they're quite, they get on quite well. But I think Andrade was just, the thing is with Andrade is that I don't mean to be disrespectful because he's a very talented fighter, but like commercially out here, he hasn't really cracked it yet. So I think that sometimes he's trying to sort of, you know, get a little bit of a character or do something a little bit different. Like he had a little team shouting, "You're the best in the world, man! You're the best in the world!" Like, throughout the whole press conference, which is quite annoying. But he's like the more you sort of speak to people, he's under huge pressure to perform tonight on Andrade because he's not just fighting for his world title, but it looks like he's fighting for, you know, a TV contract and all sorts really. So I think there's quite a lot of pressure on him to perform really well tonight, and you know he's not the most interesting of fighters, and I don't know how it's going to play out, to be honest with you. I think that's going to help Brian, because Brian's sort of unknown over here, hasn't got to do anything other than try and win rounds and win the fight.
I know I've probably asked you this at some point before, but what chance do you give Rose in comparison to Purdy and Reeves going out to America last year?
Well, different scenarios. I mean, look, you know, Lee Purdy got 2.5, 3 weeks notice against Devin Alexander, and what Lee Purdy had was a puncher's chance. That was it, because you know you're talking about a guy with very little amateur pedigree against one of the top welterweights in the world. That opportunity was won at 3 weeks' notice. You know, a huge amount of money for Lee Purdy and a golden opportunity. This is something very different. This is someone in Brian Rose who's earned his shot at the world title. He's the #1 challenger in the world. He won a final eliminator against Javier Maciel, that you might have seen beat Melendez last weekend.
Yeah.
You know, big win for him. So he's here on merit. The Reese Broner fight, I think you know, there was a lot of talk about how good Broner was, and I do think he's a different animal at 135 pounds, by the way. But he was just very, very good, too good for Gabby. And you know, I gave Gabby a decent shot going into that fight, but quickly in the fight you realise how good Broner is. So in answer to your question, I give Brian a big chance in the fight until the bell goes and we really see, you know, because let's just being honest, you know, I mean, Andrade looks good, he's 20-0, he's never really been tested, but, you know, Brian's a different kind of fighter. He's not reckless, he's smart, he's got a great jab, and I think it could be a bit of a chess match for me. The concerns for Brian is that you lose too many rounds, because, you know, Brian's work is very neat and very tight. He's got to do a lot of work, he's got to win the rounds convincingly, and he can't be sort of 5 or 6 rounds into the fight and then, you know, 4 or 5 rounds behind, because it's a huge amount of work to do, and obviously he's the away fighter, so he's a massive underdog in the fight, but he's here on merit, and I'll really give him a chance in the fight. I've got to say, mentally, he's in a great place. I mean, he's really buzzing, you know, and he's prepared great, he's in great shape, no injuries. You know, it really comes down to how good Andrade apparently is it's Andrade, not Andrade.
Yeah.
But how good Andrade is. You know, if he is the real deal, if he's really good, it's going to be a really tough fight for Brian. But if there is hype, and you know, then Brian's got a massive chance in the fight. But until the bell goes, and Brian needs a career best performance. Like I said that to him yesterday, you've got to box better than you've ever boxed before. You know, your performance against Maciel was very, very good to beat Maciel. That performance is not going to beat Andrade. So you've got to be the best you've ever been to win this fight. But so you should be. You're fighting for a world title in New York on HBO. Do you know what I mean? Nothing else a great performance will do.
I don't know if you saw You didn't see Ringside on Thursday, didn't you? Obviously,
no.
Darren Barker was on there, obviously, and he said something about when he fought Martinez, and he was possibly guilty of, you know, just being happy to be there. That sort of mentality.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, the way Brian was talking, you know, in his head, he's confident that he will come home with a world title. But do you think there is a little bit of that in Brian Rose, that he's happy to be there?
Definitely happy to be here because it's a great opportunity for him. But you know, I've drummed into his head as well that if you leave here with regrets, I could have done, because you may only get one chance. You know, who knows how many shots at the world title you'll get. So, but he seems very focused, very level-headed, and Bobby Rimmer's, you know, played a big part in that, obviously. I think with Darren, I was very close to Darren, obviously, for the Martinez fight as well. You can tell yourself you're confident, and you can tell people you're going to win, but it's only after, you know, like Darren says, I'm not sure I really believed it deep down, but he convinced me he believed it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. You know, it is all about levels, and you know, Brian's going to have to be at another level tonight that he's been before, and then I think he's got a great chance in the fight. But we don't know how good Andrade is. He may just be a good fighter who's a lot of hype. But he may be exceptional. And if he's exceptional, then it's going to be a tough night for Brian.
Realistically, though, what will Brian have to do to win the fight tonight? Because whether he can stop Andrade or not is a question.
I think it's got to be about work rate. You know, I watched a lot of Andrade. I watched a lot of him last night as well. He's got a great jab, but he's lazy. He does switch off. I'm not sure how much work he likes to do as well. So I think the areas that he's untested in is probably heart and work rate. So that's what you got to put on him. Brian's got a great jab. You know, when he's going to miss a lot, Brian, because Andrade's very awkward, technically very good. So he's got to throw a lot of punches. He's got to win rounds. He can't shade rounds, and that's going to be the most important thing in this fight, is to win rounds. And like I said, you mustn't be 5 or 6 rounds into the fight and be 4 or 5 rounds down, because it's going to be very difficult to claw your way back into the fight from there. So he's got to start fast. It's a very small ring, probably from Provodnikov's orders. So Andrade's not going to have the most opportunity to move as much as he normally does. So just press on him without being reckless. Andrade would love Rose to come at him, because Andrade's got to look good. And if you come at Andrade, he can look good. So, you know, just take your time. Don't worry about it being boring, because it might be for a couple of rounds. It could be really boring for a couple of rounds, because they're both very technical fighters, you know. So, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. Andrade can worry about that.
Have you seen him today?
Brian?
Yeah.
No. I was with him all yesterday and last night, and then I'm heading up. What time is it now? It's 1:40. Heading up about 3 o'clock to his hotel. Chill out for a bit. He's not fighting till 11. So we'll head over to the arena about 8:30, something like that.
So he's still got...
Crawler's out here, Quigg's out here.
So he's still going to be on here around 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, he'll ring walk about 3:50, 10 to 4, UK time.
Okay.
I think the first bell will be back on 4 o'clock, and then Provodnikov's on after.
Okay. Saw you tweet a picture out of Shawn Showtime Porter.
Yeah.
What?
Tiny.
What's that?
Tiny.
Tiny. Yeah. He's like
strong boy. I mean, look, he couldn't believe how small he was in height.
What did you say to him?
I just said, all good for August the 9th, and he said, yeah, I'm in. And I said, we've signed, because we signed yesterday.
So that's... is that official now?
We're waiting for the counter-signed contract from him, which he'll be signing today.
Okay. But didn't have a long conversation with him then?
I just said to him, listen, it's going to be a great fight, and he said, yeah, no, I think he knows it's about the fight. And I've got to say, it's a brilliant fight, don't you think? I mean, stylistically, with what's on the line, you know, Kel's in such a great place at the moment. He's been training for 5 or 6 weeks. His weight is bang on. I believe he's going to win. I know I keep telling him, but I believe he's going to knock him out. So, it's going to be it's a brilliant fight.
So, while you've been out there, have you been tying up any other deals, talking to anyone else about any other fighters?
Lots of meetings. I don't know if it's been mentioned, probably another IFL exclusive, but we are going to set up something over here. So just really getting our heads around that, started making plans.
What, to put shows on out there?
Yeah, I think there's a big opportunity for us out here. So over the next couple of months, trying to put that in place, meeting broadcasters, and sort of getting our head around the market, looking at potential fighters as well. So hopefully next on the agenda towards the end of this year.
Oh, that's interesting. Have you mentioned that before? Like, is this like a new thing?
I don't know. I mean, it's something that I've thought about for a while. I just think the landscape's right over here now. I think, without being disrespectful, a lot of the promoters are quite old. And I think it's a great opportunity for a young promoter and a young company to come in. There's a lot of work needed, but I think there's a market for us here. And I think with what we're doing in the UK, people are seeing how good we are at putting on shows. I think it's what's missing over here from the shows. I mean, you know, just from a live event perspective, I just don't think they're doing enough. And I was talking to someone on Twitter earlier today, and I said, you know, because probably 80 or 90% of their revenue comes from TV, there's nothing that's really going into the show side and the ticket side. Whereas in the UK, probably 50 or 60% of our income for shows comes from ticket revenue. So we have to work really hard to sell, but we also have to work really hard on the profile of fighters to make sure that they're ticket sellers as well. So, and I think that gets lost over here because every show you go to, I mean, you know, it's the way in yesterday. Provodnikov, I know he's from Serbia, but Andrade and even Algieri, who's from like up the road, there was just no support. You know, you know about Algieri, he's like 19-0 kid from Long Island or something, and he's fighting for a world title, and there's like him, his family at the weigh-in. That's it. And then you've got like 200 people from Blackpool come to support Brian Rose.
Seasiders, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I just think that there's an opportunity here, and I think that a lot of fighters aren't being promoted properly, and I think that they'd welcome what we do. So, you know, we're just getting geared up at the moment, really, looking at the landscape, doing the research, and it won't be long till we're doing stuff out here, I think.
Do you know Golden Boy were talking a while ago about them putting on shows over here? We're yet to really see one. I know they've done sort of the Amir Khan Diaz thing, but to put their own shows on it, do you think there's a market to do that crossover across the pond kind of thing?
Yeah, I do, because I think that what we're doing at the moment can transcend anywhere, not just in the UK. So I'm sure, I think if another opportunity opened up with a broadcaster, it's all about broadcasters. You know, if you couldn't work with broadcasters and strike a deal with a broadcaster, then anyone can put shows on. You know, same with Golden Boy. I think if an opportunity come up with a broadcaster in the UK, Golden Boy would do shows in the UK, and I'm sure they might in the future. But it's really all comes down to that. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to start doing a load of shows in America without a broadcast deal, because it's just not viable. But, you know, if there's interest from broadcasters, and they like what we do, and they like the fighters that we have, you know, and there's all kinds of, I mean, obviously Froch did huge numbers for the Groves fight on HBO. Also, you know, they're looking, you know, Luke Campbell, Anthony Joshua, Callum Smith, Scott Quick, you know, they're sniffing around these kind of fighters because they're great fighters. So, and what they're seeing when they tune in to UK shows from us is unbelievable atmosphere, fantastic production, and just a great show. So, you know, I think from a product perspective, we've got what they like. And I think over time, there's an opportunity for a young promoter and a young company to explore and exploit this market.
just finally, in regards to our interview we did in Liverpool the other day about your £200,000 offer for McDonnell and Butler, has there been any development in that whatsoever?
Yes, I had a reply from Frank Warren's office who said they will speak to Paul Butler when he's back from holiday and come back to us. So, we'll see.
Okay. And have you questioned the mandatory situation about that with Caballero?
No, it's not my business. I mean, I've heard they've got to fight Caballero, but they can't have because they've supposedly already made us an offer, which we haven't seen yet. But they talk about wanting the McDonnell fight, so if they can do it, great. If they can't, they've got to fight Caballero. Although someone was telling me out here they think Butler's going to move down to super flyweight and vacate the title because the IBF title at Superfly is also vacant, so maybe he can fight for that.
It had a great response though, with that potential fight of Butler and McDonnell. It had a great response, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a unification fight between two Brits, and it's a really good fight. Paul Butler's a brilliant young fighter. Jay McDonnell, so these are the fights people want to see. So, I mean, Paul Butler's already said on Twitter, 200,000, make me the offer, yes please, ka-ching, or something like that. So I'm guessing he wants it. So hopefully politics don't get in the way.
Alright, Eddie Hearn. Well, listen, thanks for talking to IFL TV. Best of luck out there to you and Brian and everyone out there. So,
speak to you soon, mate.
let's hope he does it. Thanks a lot.